I want to start with something a little uncomfortable. I want you to just pause for a second and listen to what's happening in your own head right now. Not my voice, your voice.
The commentary track.
Yeah, exactly. The commentary track. The one that's saying, I wonder what he's talking about, or, my coffee's getting cold, or maybe even, why did I say that thing to my boss 3 years ago?
It's that mental dialogue that
Oh.
it never, ever sleeps.
Right. And for most of us, that voice is just, well, it's life. It feels like who we are. But we're looking at a book today that argues that one assumption, that you are the voice in your head, is basically the root cause of every unhappy moment you've ever had. We're doing a deep dive into The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer.
And this is a heavy hitter. It's one of those books that people read and then you immediately see them buying like 5 copies to give to all their friends.
I'll be honest, though, when I first picked it up, I was a little skeptical. It felt a bit, floating on a cloud, a little new agey.
I get that.
But the logic he uses to kind of dismantle the way we think is actually incredibly sharp. It's less like a sermon and more like a surgical procedure on your ego.
That's a great way to put it. Singer is trying to get you to have a realization that seems really obvious at first, but is actually revolutionary. And it's this. If you can hear the voice talking, you cannot be the voice.
Okay, let's stop right there because that is the whole premise. It sounds almost like a riddle.
It's just a subject-object relationship. Think about your eyes. You can see a computer screen in front of you. You can see a coffee cup. You're the subject. They're the objects.
Right.
You can't actually see your own eyes, can you? You can only see what they're looking at.
Okay, sure. I'm the looker. The cup is the object. I'm with you.
So now just apply that exact same logic to your mind. If you can hear your own thoughts, if you can notice, wow, I'm really thinking a lot about pizza right now, then there has to be a you that is noticing the thought.
The witness.
The witness. The thought is just another object passing by, just like the coffee cup.
But that voice feels so personal. I mean, it sounds like me. It knows all my secrets.
Singer has a great name for it. He calls it the inner roommate. And he suggests this thought experiment to help you break that identification.
Okay.
Imagine if you took that inner monologue and just externalized it.
Yeah.
Imagine a real person walking next to you all day, saying everything your mind says.
Oh, that would be an absolute nightmare.
It'd be terrifying. Imagine some guy named Dave is just following you around. You look at a stranger and Dave leans in and whispers, "They look mean. I bet they hate you."
Yay.
You try to work and Dave's just going, "You're going to fail. Remember that time you failed in 5th grade? Let's just talk about that for the next hour."
Yeah, if that was a real person, I'd get a restraining order.
Yeah.
I would not hang out with that person.
But because it's inside our heads, we not only hang out with it, we listen to it, we take its advice, and Singer points out this roommate is completely neurotic. It could ruin anything. You could be at your own wedding, literally the happiest day of your life, and the roommate is whispering, "Is that flower arrangement wilting? I think your aunt looks bored. Why is she bored?"
I have absolutely had those moments. You're supposed to be having a great time, but the voice is just narrating all the reasons why it's not quite perfect.
Exactly. And so the crucial question is, why? Why does the roommate do that? It's not just to annoy you. It's trying to buffer reality.
Buffer it. What do you mean?
The world is huge. It's chaotic. It's totally uncontrollable. And that is terrifying to our psyche. So the voice narrates everything to try to make it fit into your little mental model of the world.
Oh, good.
If you see something strange, the voice has to label it. If you feel uncomfortable, the voice explains why it's somebody else's fault. It's trying to shrink the infinite world down to a manageable size so you feel safe.
I get that. So it's a defense mechanism. But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sleep.
Isn't some of that thinking necessary? I mean, if I kick out the roommate, who's going to remind me to pay the electric bill? Who tells me not to touch a hot stove? Do I just become a vegetable?
That's the #1 fear people have with this kind of work.
Yeah.
But Singer makes a really important distinction between functional thought and neurotic chatter.
Okay.
Functional thought is a tool. It's like a hammer. You pick it up, you say, "I need to calculate my taxes." You use the brain for the math, and then you put the hammer down.
Whereas the roommate is the guy who's just swinging the hammer around the living room at 3 a.m. because he's anxious.
Precisely. The roommate isn't solving problems. It's just replaying anxieties over and over. What if I did the taxes wrong? What if the IRS comes? That isn't functional. That's just suffering.
Right.
The goal isn't to stop thinking. It's to stop identifying with all the noise,
Yeah.
to learn how to sit in what he calls the seat of self.
The seat of self. That sounds very grand. So how do we actually do that? Because I've tried shouting, shut up at the voice, and that definitely doesn't work.
No, because that's just the voice yelling at the voice.
Mm-hmm.
The way out is to step back.
Mm.
And Singer suggests a really simple experiment you can do anytime. Just right now, shout the word hello inside your mind.
Okay. Hello!
You heard it right.
Loud and clear.
So, who heard it?
Me. I did.
That me. That awareness that heard the word, the silence that's behind all the noise, that is the seat of self. That's who you actually are. And the practice is just to hang out there, watching the thoughts pass by like clouds instead of getting sucked into the storm every time.
It's like the difference between watching a movie and thinking you are the character in the movie. When you're lost in it, you're stressed out, you're crying. When you remember you're just sitting in a theater, you can watch the plot unfold.
Exactly. And when you start living from that seat, you realize something else. You realize you've been cutting yourself off from a massive source of power. And this is where the book gets into infinite energy.
Yeah, this was the part where my skepticism radar started pinging again. When I hear infinite energy or Shakti or Chi, my mind kind of goes to crystals and magic tricks.
I get it.
I usually just assume my energy level depends on how much coffee I've had or if I got 8 hours of sleep.
And that's the standard medical view, right? Calories in, energy out. But Singer points to an experience we've all had. Have you ever been totally drained, exhausted, just ready to collapse? And then something amazing happens. Maybe you fall in love, or you get a huge promotion, or you just get deeply inspired by a new project.
Oh, for sure. And suddenly you're wide awake. You could stay up all night talking.
So where did that energy come from? You didn't eat a sandwich? You didn't take a nap?
It feels like adrenaline or something.
It's more sustainable than adrenaline, though. Singer's point is that there is a wellspring of energy inside of us that doesn't depend on food. It's the energy of enthusiasm, of spirit, of will. And it's actually always there, and it's infinite.
Always.
Always. The only reason we don't feel it all the time is because we block it.
We block it. How? Is there like a switch I'm accidentally leaning on?
There's a valve. He calls it the valve of the heart. Think about the physical sensation of being insulted or feeling threatened or just seeing someone you really don't like. What happens in your chest?
Ooh, it tightens up immediately. It feels like a knot.
That is the valve closing. We physically and energetically clamp down to protect ourselves. We say, I don't like this feeling, so I'm going to squeeze and push it away. But when you close that valve to keep the bad stuff out, you also cut off the flow of that amazing energy from within.
So we basically end up running on batteries, our physical reserves, instead of being plugged into the mains.
That's a perfect analogy. And that's why we're so tired all the time. We're walking around with our hearts clenched shut to protect our egos. And Singer's challenge here is radical. He says nothing is worth closing over.
Nothing. That seems a little dangerous. If someone is attacking me or if something terrible happens, isn't closing a natural form of protection?
It's a natural reaction, but it doesn't actually protect you. It just traps the pain inside you. If you close your heart, the event still happened, but now you're also stuck with the negative energy of it, locked inside your system.
Okay, this leads to the most powerful visual in the whole book for me.
Yeah.
And the one that explained why we do this, he calls it the inner thorn.
Yes, this is the core of his psychological model.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. He says, just imagine you have a thorn stuck deep in your arm. It's touching a nerve. It is agonizingly painful if anything even brushes against it.
Okay.
Now you have two choices for how to live your life with this thorn. Choice A is to do everything in your power to make sure nothing ever touches it.
Right. So I'd build a frame around it. I'd wrap it in bandages. I'd make people walk on my other side. I'd have to sleep in some weird position.
You'd modify your entire reality just to avoid that pain. And in the psyche, these thorns are what Singer calls samskaras.
Samskars. Can you define that for us?
It's a Sanskrit term. But it effectively means a mental impression or a blocked pattern of energy. It's an old emotion, a trauma, a rejection, a deep fear that you didn't fully process when it happened. You resisted it. You pushed it down. And so it stayed there like a thorn.
So if I got rejected in high school and I never really got over it, that's a thorn.
That's a classic thorn. And now you build a protective cage around it. You decide, okay, I'm never going to put myself out there again, or I'm only going to date people who are totally safe. You're building an entire lifestyle designed to keep that thorn from getting touched.
But the problem with the cage is that it restricts me. I'm the one living in it.
Exactly. You end up living inside a prison you build to protect your own pain. You aren't free. You're just managing your triggers. And the worst part is, life is random. Sooner or later, someone is going to bump into that thorn.
It rains on your wedding day. Someone cuts you off in traffic.
And when the thorn gets touched, we lash out. We scream at the other driver. We complain endlessly about the rain. We think we're angry at the driver, but really we're just in pain because our old wound got bumped.
So what's choice B?
Choice B is, you pull out the thorn.
Which sounds great, but how? You can't just reach into your psyche with a pair of tweezers.
No, but you can use life's little annoyances to do it for you. The method is relax and release. And you have to start small. Singer uses the pencil example, which I love because it's so mundane.
Pencil guru.
Pencil guru. Imagine you're at work. You reach for your favorite pencil, and it's gone. You look over, and you see your coworker, Steve, using it.
Classic Steve.
Classic Steve. Now, just watch the reaction. Your chest tightens. The roommate starts shouting, "Steve has no respect. I bet he took it on purpose. People always take my stuff." You feel that heat rising.
That's the thorn being touched. The little samskara of, people don't respect me.
Precisely. Now, normally you'd either yell at Steve or you'd just stew in silence. Both of those are engaging with the thorn. Singer says, do neither. Use that moment of tightening as your cue.
A cue to do what?
To let go. You feel the tension, and you deliberately relax your shoulders. You relax the area around your heart. You act as the witness. You see the anger rising, but you don't grab onto it. You let it pass through you.
You fall behind the energy, as he says.
Yes. It feels like you're taking a step back from it. And if you don't close down around it, the energy just flows up and out. And here's the magic. When it flows out, you take a tiny little piece of the thorn with it. You are actually healing yourself.
And I know the listeners are thinking this, it's just a pencil. It's easy to relax about a pencil. What about a divorce? What about a serious illness?
You can't start with a divorce. That's like trying to bench press 500 pounds on your first day at the gym. It's not going to work.
Right.
You have to train on the low-stakes drama first. You practice on the traffic jam, the weather, the rude email. You build the muscle of staying open.
So that when the big stuff eventually hits, you have the strength to face it without completely collapsing.
Exactly. If you can stay open during the storms can't really hurt you. They just pass through you like wine through a screen door. But if you close, you become a solid wall, and the wind just knocks you over.
This all leads to what he calls the ultimate choice. And I have to say, Singer is pretty blunt here. He creates this binary choice that feels almost unfair at first.
It's probably the most important question in the entire book. Do you want to be happy or do you not want to be happy?
And obviously everyone's immediate answer is, of course I want to be happy, but then we always add a but.
I want to be happy, but my wife needs to stop nagging me. I want to be happy, but I need to make more money. That's all conditional happiness. You're essentially telling the universe, I will only allow myself to be happy if you arrange yourself exactly according to my personal preferences.
It's a losing bet. The universe is massive and chaotic. It's never going to match your mental model 100% of the time.
Well, mathematically impossible. So Singer proposes what he calls the path of unconditional happiness. You make a vow. You just say, I am going to be happy, period.
That sounds almost delusional. If I'm in solitary confinement or if I'm really sick, am I supposed to just smile and say, this is fine?
It's not about denial. He brings up people like Viktor Frankl or Gandhi. You can be in a terrible situation externally, but you still have the choice over your internal state. You don't have to close your heart.
So if my car breaks down, obviously I have to fix the car, but I don't have to be miserable while I'm fixing it.
Precisely. The car is broken. That's a fact of reality. Getting angry, stressing out, cursing the world, that is all resistance to reality. And that resistance is what causes the suffering. Fixing the car is just an action. Action doesn't have to hurt.
That distinction is huge: pain versus suffering. Pain is the event. Suffering is a story I tell myself about the event.
Yes. And this is the spiritual path of non-resistance. Living like the Tao. Water flows around obstacles. It doesn't try to smash into them. When you stop fighting reality, you stop wasting all that energy just protecting your ego.
And when you start protecting the ego, what's left, this is where the book goes into the deep end, the ocean of energy.
It does. Singer uses this metaphor of a single drop of water falling into the ocean. The drop is your individual consciousness, your little self, with all its neurotic thoughts and preferences and fears. When that drop falls into the ocean, it ceases to be a separate drop.
Which sounds kind of scary, to be honest. I like being a drop. I'm sort of attached to being a drop.
The ego's terrified of it, of course. But the drop becomes the ocean. When you let go of the roommate, you don't disappear. You expand. You realize you are part of something infinite. You stop feeling so alone and defensive because you realize you're supported by the same energy that spins the planets.
It's a beautiful concept, but I do want to bring this back down to Monday morning. We have listeners who are stuck in traffic, they have mortgages to pay, they have annoying coworkers, they aren't monks.
Right.
How do we apply this without quitting our jobs and moving to an ashram?
Singer is really clear that you don't need a cave. Your life as it is the practice. Your annoying coworker is your guru. But to keep perspective, he offers a visualization that I think is the most powerful tool in the whole book, the angel of death.
Which sounds incredibly morbid. Think about death to be happy.
It sounds morbid, but it's actually the most life-affirming thing you can possibly do. He says, just imagine the angel of death comes to you right now and says, time's up, you're coming with me.
And we'd all immediately say, no, wait, I need more time.
Right. I haven't really lived yet. I was going to start that hobby next week. And the angel just looks at you and says, I gave you 52 weeks this past year. What did you do with them?
Oof, that hits hard. Well, I spent 3 weeks being angry at Steve for taking my pencil. I spent a month worrying about the stock market.
Exactly. I spent most of my time closing my heart. So the question is, if you knew this was your last week on Earth, how would you treat that traffic jam? Would you scream? Or would you maybe just look at the sky and think, wow, look at those clouds. I'm going to miss clouds.
You wouldn't waste a single second being closed. You'd be wide open to everything.
And that is the challenge, to live with that level of openness now, not waiting for a terminal diagnosis. Singer suggests that if you keep that perspective, that we are all just spinning on a tiny rock in the middle of nowhere for a very brief blip of time, you won't take your thorns quite so seriously.
So, okay, let's wrap this up with a mission for the listener. What is the one practical takeaway?
The takeaway is just awareness. Start watching the roommate. Don't fight him. Don't judge him. Just notice him. Well, there he goes again, complaining about the weather.
And when you feel that tightening in your chest,
When you feel the valve closing, whether it's over a big crisis or a small annoyance, just try to relax. Drop your shoulders. Soften your chest. Fall behind the energy and just let it pass through.
and ask yourself that question, do I want to be happy?
And if the answer is yes, then don't put any conditions on it. Just practice keeping your heart open.
It sounds so simple, but I have a feeling it's a lifelong project.
It is. But it's really the only game in town worth playing.
Well, that's our deep dive on the Untethered Soul. If your inner roommate has a lot of critiques about this deep dive, just say hello to him and let it go. Thanks for listening.